So today we're going to be learning about color, and this is a very important aspect of graphic design you need to know. In fact, this actually the it's actually what beautifies your design, and this can also make or break your design because color has meanings, color sends emotions, and if you do not know how to use color, if you don't combine colors perfectly, if you don't also know how to combine colors, you have issues passing the message. So it's not just important that you know how to use the right typography, but it's also important that you know how to use the right color and also combine colors in your designs. Okay, so over to our next slide. So just like what I said, color plays a vital role in design. So with everything here, like I said, it triggers your emotional response. And depending on who you're communicating to, your target audience as well. I said this in our previous classes, that your target audience also determines the kind of color you're going to use to communicate that message in your design. Colors send a lot of emotions and it speaks a lot louder than words actually. So that's actually how powerful colors are. Okay, so it says here that artists and designers have followed color theory for centuries, but anyone can learn more about it. Okay, so basically what we'll be doing now is we'll be delving into what we call color theory. Color theory talks about different aspects of color, what you need to know, types of colors and their meanings, also know some forms of colors and all that, color combinations and all that. Okay, so and by the end of the class I'll be sharing a particular link. It's actually a Canva link. It's very resourceful. I'll actually show you guys how it's going to how you can scale this so that by the end of the class when I share the link you'll be able to use it as a very good resource for your project. Okay, so this is I use this illustration so that we can easily relate to these things that I think we learned all these things in primary school. So we have what we call primary colors and secondary colors. You already know your primary colors: blue, yellow, red. Then secondary colors are just a mixture of primary colors. So secondary colors, we're talking about purple, we're talking about green, we're talking about orange. And you know how these things are mixed. So red and blue gives us purple, red and yellow gives us orange, and blue and yellow gives us green. So those are our secondary colors. Okay, so the next one we have here, okay, I've already explained it already what secondary colors are, so I don't really need to delve much in that. Okay, so you can actually mix these colors. So even when you mix both more secondary colors and more primary colors and your primary colors, you still get some additional color tunes, and that's how the color wheel is formed. You understand? So basically I'll be explaining more about these things when as we process. Okay, someone is just joining me. Just hold on. Christopher, you're welcome. You came very early today. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon.
Good
Yes, I
afternoon.
can.
How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm fine, thank you.
Are you on the road?
Oh, yes, I am. I'll mute your mic.
Okay, okay, no problem. You can mute your mic. Okay, so Christopher, as you joined, before you joined the class, I've already started. We're dealing on colors, and I explained how important colors are in graphic design. I said colors, they send emotions to your design, and it can either make or break your design. And I said it's very important to know how to combine colors and actually know the meaning of these colors. And as well, your target audience determines what kind of colors you should use in your design, because you are the one, it's actually your target audience you're trying to pass the message to. So it's important that you know what to use to grab their attention and pass the message. And I spoke about the primary and secondary colors. We actually learn these things in primary school, so it's very easy. So you know your primary colors, you know your blue, yellow, and red. Those are primary colors. Secondary colors are the mixture of your primary colors. So When you mix red and yellow, you get orange. When you mix red and blue, you get purple. When you mix blue and yellow, you get green. So orange, green, and purple, those are your secondary colors. So that's why I stopped until before you joined us. And I said mixing both these secondary colors together between them and also some with your primary colors again, you could also get some additional colors. You could get red orange, you could get yellow green, you could get blue green, that kind of thing. So all those other color mixtures together is what forms the color wheel in design. So I'm sure maybe you must have seen or must have heard about the color wheel before, or if you haven't, that's fine. So this is actually how the color wheel is. Okay, so we are going to be discussing on some color terms that you need to know. Very, very important. You need to know these terms. So the first one is hue, the second one is saturation, and the third one is value. So when we're talking about hue, it's just another word for the color. So when someone says, if somebody is describing the red color now, and they're asking you what's okay, say okay, what's the hue color? What's the hue color for red? It's just asking you what's the color of red. It's no simple. There's no too much grammar there. It's just when you hear the word hue, we're just talking about the color of that part of whichever particular color. So if it's hue for red, you know that we're just talking about the color red. It's just a term in graphic design that you just need to know. So like I said here, it's basically just another word for color. In the example below, you might describe the hue as red or light red, depending on your interpretation, just like what I used here on the as an illustration. So that's just what hue is. So when we talk about saturation is talking about the intensity of your color. So how light or how dark your color appears. You understand? So sometimes your colors, depending on whatever shade you are using, some colors might be highly saturated. Like if you look at the illustration I used here, you could see this particular line here. That's like your way of increasing the intensity and reducing the intensity of your color, or we can say saturation. That's what it means. Anyone you want to use. So you could use highly saturated. You can. That's for brighter colors or more richer colors, or you can use a desaturated color. Those ones have less colors. You understand that? So, and they are less vibrant. So that's what you need to know about saturation. Okay, so please just confirm with your mics if you can hear me and you are following, so we can move to the next thing. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Divine, can you hear me?
Yes.
Divine, can you hear me? Okay, Louis.
Yes.
Okay. Louis. Okay, so let's move. Okay, so the other one we have is value. Now, value talks about how dark your color is, ranging from black to white. So just as this illustration is here, I still use the color red. So you could actually see a deep reddish brown here. You could also see this line here. So when you are reducing it from that deep reddish brown, you could see how it goes down to the red color and it goes down to white. You understand? So when we talk about now, don't misplace saturation for value. When we're talking about saturation, let me go back so that you guys could see. When we're talking about saturation, we're talking about increasing the vibrancy of your color. That's making it more lighter. You understand? More brighter or more lighter. That's what we mean by saturation. But when we're talking about value, we're talking about how dark or how light the color could be, especially when we're talking about the dark section of your color. So you could see here from white, it's moving pale red, actual red, then it gets to a dark red and gets to a dark red or a reddish brown color. So that's just what we mean by value. Well, as we progress along the class, when we actually start designing, you see how we'll be able to apply this saturation and value into designs. You understand? I'm sure you guys must have actually seen different shades of red before. Not not the actual red. You can see a dark red, you can see a light red, those other things there. So that's what we mean by that. Okay, so the next thing we'll be dealing with is color harmony. Color harmony. So color harmony basically uses the color wheel to test color combinations. So there are some common types of color harmony you need to know in design. That's what we'll be explaining now. Okay, so the first one we have here, okay, so let me just list them out. These are the types of color harmony. We have the monochromatic, we have the analogous. You must have heard of some of these terms before. Maybe if you're new to it, that's fine. You must have, okay, monochromatic, analogous, complementary, we have split complementary, we have triadic, we have tetradic. So the first one we'll be dealing with is monochromatic colors. Okay, so this is just basically one of the simplest form of color harmony. So we're talking about monochromatic colors. It's just talking about using one color or one hue. Remember what I said? You can use the word color, or you can use hue. It's still the same thing. So it's just using one color, but in different shades of that particular color. So I still used the example here, red. You could actually see in the color wheel how I used this red. Now with monochromatic, you could actually see the different shades. And this is actually where the saturation comes in. Remember when I spoke about saturation, talking about how light your color can become. You understand? So this is our actual red color. You see the saturation, and these are actually, you could call them shades, different shades of red. So just talking about different shades of red. So whenever you hear the word, give me a monochromatic color for blue, we're just talking about shades of blue. You understand? Blue in different shades. So from the actual blue color to a lighter blue color scale. So you could just use this palette. Now this box you are seeing here, this box of different shades of red, this is what we also call a color palette. Right? Take notes. This is what we also call a color palette. And you can use this color palette to design. The link I'm going to share with you guys would explain more on color palette. Color palette is just a table. When I say a table, color palette is just a box of colors or combination of colors you could use to create a particular design. That's what color palette is. You could mix different colors depending on what you want to use, but you have to make sure that those colors are in harmony, whether they are complementing each other or it's a monochromatic color or triadic color. But as we progress, you'll know more about this definition. So that's just what monochromatic colors are. Okay, so whenever you want to use a monochromatic scheme for yellow, you know what it means. So it's just using yellow and different shades of yellow. Okay, so that's it. So the next one we have is okay, I think I explained more about the monochromatic colors, I think. So there's no really, I don't need to still hit on that. So the next one we have is complementary. Okay, I said analogous first before complementary. So analogous colors, these are basically three colors. There are three colors that are next to each other in the color wheel. So as illustrated here, you could see these three colors here. Three colors beside each other. These are analogous colors. And this is it. This one, and this one. We can still point out another analogous color. This one, this one, this one. So like when you hear the word analogous, it's just have it at the back of your mind. We're talking about three colors that are next to each other in the color wheel. Those are the analogous color. And they are good. These are also good color harmonies you could use in your designs. The reason why I'm pointing out these color harmonies and the reason why you should know them is even as they are defined, just as they are defined, these are also good color combinations. So if you are using the monochromatic color harmony, you know that okay, you could just use this monochromatic color for your designs. If you are going to use if you are going to use analogous, okay, you could use this particular set of colors. These are just the best ways you can combine colors whenever you want to do a design. So you won't just pick two random colors that don't really match, and you now design, and you see that it comes out very bad. So that's why it's important you know these color harmonies. So it said here, just like I explained earlier, see, analogous color scheme uses colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. We've seen an example here. Okay. So just like what I was saying, I said don't be afraid to play with the palette and create your own unique interpretation. That's what color harmony is all about. So all these things I'm just saying, they are formulas, but you can be very creative with it. So still on this same three colors here, you could actually see different shades of this particular color, right? So this is like a darker version of the blue, a darker version of a more lighter version of the sky blue, and all that. So you could actually see how these colors are still complementing each other, not complementing, sorry, are still in the analogous form. So it's still this, and this, but you could see how they are presented in a different shape of that color. But anyways, as we progress, you will understand more. And I think that resource material I'll share with you guys will be self-explanatory. Okay, complementary color. So complementary color is one of the simplest and most easiest color harmonies in design. Complementary colors are just basically two colors facing each other, or opposite colors on the color wheel. So we have red and green here. I think this color is that's actually what we use in the Christmas color. That's the Christmas color. So I think that's what I even use as the illustration. So red and green, the red and green are complementary colors, and you could actually use complementary colors to achieve a lot. I think this is one of my best color harmonies. I use complementary colors a lot, and sometimes I just use monochromatic colors depending on the message I want to pass anyways. So this is just what complementary colors are, opposite colors. So aside just the red and green, we have purple and orange. These are complementary colors. So just when you look at the color, you see this, the next color facing that color, that's the complementary color. The same thing here, this other blue, you see this one facing it, that's the complementary color. If we move to this yellow, this other color facing it, that's the complementary color. So it's important you know these things. So when you want to now combine colors, you know which one you want to use, whether it's a monochromatic, whether it's the analogous, whether it's complementary, whether it's triadic, and all that. Okay, so that's basically it for complementary colors. I think I still explained more, just like what I said. Don't be fixated on just what I'm showing you. So you could actually, instead of you using the actual color scheme here, you could actually use different shades. A lighter shade of red, you could see the lighter shade of red here, you could see a darker shade of green, and this green now was now actually saturated, so we have a light green and a much lighter green. So like I said, adding some variety too in your complementary colors are important, but it's very, very important. First of all, know which colors are complementary before you could actually start playing with their shades, right? Very, very important. Very, very important. Okay, so we have what we call split complementary. So when we talk about split complementary, this is a way today, and this is why I use this illustration. Now, first of all, in the color wheel, it's like a triangle drawn. If you look at this thing, I drew like a triangle here, and each point of this triangle, this point, and this other point, that's what we call those two colors, or those three colors that form the triangle. That's what we call the split complementary colors. So it says here, split complementary color scheme uses colors on either side of the complement. This gives you the same level of contrast as a complementary color scheme, but more colors to work with and potentially more interesting results. So instead of, remember, in our complementary colors here with the red, the complementary color for red is this green, right? But when we're talking about split complementary, this is the easiest way to remember it. When you pick a particular color up here, the color facing it, right? The color facing it those two colors by the side, those two colors by the side, and this particular one you chose. That's just how to note the split complementary. So you have to use your color wheel if you want to know split complementary for other colors. So let me take, for example, let me use this purple, right? We know that the complementary color for this purple is this, but in split complementary, we are going to use this one, that's this lighter orange, this yellow with this one. Remember, I'm using this triangle symbol to actually know my split complementary colors. So that's basically how to detect your split complementary colors in color wheel. Okay, now triadic, the triadic color scheme. Now for you to, now I know that this looks like the split complementary, but for triadic, these are evenly spaced colors in the color wheel. This actually forms a triangle. Like, you know, the triangle has equal sides, right? So these are evenly spaced colors in the color wheel, and I think these colors was even used. Okay, so that's why I used this illustration, because this one that they showed us, the purple, the orange, and green, is actually the color scheme they used for the Joker. So we know that the Joker, the cartoon of Joker now, both purple, orange, and green, that's the color used to for that particular character. So like I said here, I said a triadic color scheme uses three colors that are evenly spaced, forming a perfect triangle on the wheel. These combinations tend to be pretty striking. Oh, sorry guys. So I said these colors tend to be pretty striking, especially when they include primary or secondary colors. So like I said, be very mindful when you're using them. Be very mindful when you're using them. Be very mindful when you're using them. Don't. Now, let me give you a trick. So when you are choosing in triadic colors, right? When you are making use of three colors in your design, you have to use one dominant color. One has to actually dominate. So let's say, for example, I want to use this color scheme, right? The purple, orange, and green. I could simply say purple should be my background color. So that's like the dominant color. So in the design, that's the color I'm going to see more. That's like the dominant color. Then I can now play around with green and yellow for my elements, or whatever it is I'm now passing as my message. Do you understand? That's what I mean by dominant color. So don't try to make the three colors dominant. Don't try to say, okay, let me use one side blue, one side purple, one side green, one side. No. You don't do it like that. You use one color as a dominant color, as a dominant color, the color that's going to dominate. So for your background, then you now use the other two colors as your elements. You could use it for your highlights or something like that. That's just basically. So if you look at, okay, yeah, I think that basically explains what I've said about triadic. Okay, so what we now have last, I think we have, is the tetradic color scheme. So when you hear the word tetradic color scheme, we're actually talking about the rectangle. So when you hear tetradic, what should come to your mind is rectangle. When you hear triadic, what should come to your mind is triangle. But when you hear split complementary, it's a triangle where just only two sides are equal, right? That's the two sides are equal, and the other one is unequal, right? That's for triadic. When we're talking about complementary, we're talking about opposite colors. That's for complementary. When we're talking about which other color did I talk about? Who can remind me? Let me know if we're following. I won't go there. Who can remind me? I've spoken about split complementary. I've spoken about complementary. I've spoken about triadic. I've spoken about tetradic. Who can remember the first two colors?
Monochromatic.
Okay, monochromatic one. Okay. Who else? Louis, I want you to answer. What's the other one? Louis, are you with us? I can't hear you, Louis. Divine, how about you? Apart from monochromatic, what other color can you remember? I mentioned another color. Divine, Louis, can any of you hear me? think it's only Christopher that has answered. You can unmute your mic to speak if you can hear me. Hello, Louis, can you hear me? Divine, can you hear me? Okay, so I was saying something. I said aside the monochromatic color and the split complementary, which other color scheme did I mention before now?
Analogous.
Okay, analogous. Okay, very good. So you're following. All right. So back to what I was saying. I said the tetradic. So the tetradic just talks about the color schemes that form the rectangle on the color wheel. Okay, so these are basically just two complementary pairs. So you could see this one and this one. That's the purple and yellow. You could actually then you now see the blue and orange, and combining these four colors, that's what forms the rectangle in the color scheme. And you could see here, just like what I explained in design earlier in the previous lesson when I was talking about the triadic color. I said if you are using three colors, one has to dominate the other one. Don't try to use all of them equally. One has to dominate the other one for both balance and also for your design to be easily communicated. The same thing here for the tetradic color. You could see here how the blue it's dominating the other three colors. So you see the purple, the orange, and yellow. It's just used a little. Okay, so there's something I want you guys to also do too. Once I share the link after our class, you could also check out some designs. Go to Pinterest. I've said this before. Go to Pinterest. You could go to Google. Or best, go to Pinterest. Go to Pinterest and just search on flyer designs. Look at how some designers also use their color schemes. How they actually use some of these colors in their designs. You see some designs where they just use the monochromatic color scheme. You see tetradic and all that. Then you could also check my page too. You can also see some of my designs and the color schemes that I use. I'm going to share that after the class so you guys could see and check it out. So let me be able to finish this. So that's it for tetradic colors. Okay, so I'm going to stop here because I know we still have a lot to deal with colors. Honestly, we have a lot to deal with colors, but our time is fast spent. But I'm going to end here with this. So these are common mistakes that I've seen a lot of young designers do. Remember, colors are very, very exciting. So when we get too carried away with colors and we don't know how to combine colors very well, we end up doing making a lot of mistakes. So, like I said, there are very few classic do's and don'ts when it comes to color. And remember, this thing also still boils down to one of the design principles I've been hammering a lot. Who can actually remind me of that design principle when it comes to this illustration here? Who can remind me? I want somebody to remind. There is one design principle where this thing falls on.
Contrast.
Okay, I'm here to confirm if that's correct. Okay, how about you, Divine and Louis? What principle? Is it contrast or hierarchy? Yes, Divine, I'm waiting for your answer. What particular principle talks about this? Okay, Louis said contrast. Divine, I can't hear you. Can you speak again? Or you can type on the chat window. Okay, Louis said contrast. So everybody is saying contrast. Nobody wants to say another thing. Okay, you guys are correct. So it's contrast. So you could actually see how this is very difficult to read because the blue is actually a dark color. Red is a dark color. So like I said, yikes, kind of painful, right? So it's too in the face. You're not really passing the message. The color combination is not nice at all. They are not in contrast with each other. And like I said, the most simplest way to remember contrast, if you're using a dark background, use a lighter color for your text. Vice versa, if you're using a lighter color, you use a dark color for your text for contrast, so the audience can easily read the message you're trying to pass. So please avoid this in color. Now you see how this is actually much better. So using a darker shade of that blue, combining with a much lighter shade of yellow, red, you could actually read this now. So you say, this is much better. So like I said, the solution is to tone it down literally, and there's a simple way to do that. Just start with one color and try adjusting its lightness and darkness. So basically what we did here, okay, so like I said, sometimes a little contrast is all your color palette needs, just like what three of you rightly said, contrast. So when you see something like that, let me go back to it. So when you see something like this, see the actual solution that was done here was we just tried to darken this blue color, and by darkening this color, this red, which is a very striking color, came out, and that was how we arrived at this, right? And it's now, you see, it's much better to read and all that. Okay, so we still have a lot to talk about, but I'm going to be ending the class for today so that I can share the link I have with you guys, and to also check out, also take your questions. Just hold on, let me open the link that I want to share with you guys. Just give me some time. Just hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. Just hold on. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop sharing. Let me stop sharing this one so I can share the other one. So this is what I'm going to be sharing with you guys on the Slack channel and the WhatsApp group. Where is it? Okay, so this is a very, very rich resource from Canva. So basically every single thing you need to know. Sorry, can you guys see this screen? Can you guys see my screen? You can unmute your mic or type in the chat room.
Yes.
Okay, okay, you can see it. Louis, can you see it? Divine, can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Louis said yes. Divine said okay, very cool. So a very, very important, just like the same, it's still the same. I think is also another. I shared a previous resource on font combinations, and it's still from Canva. It's the same thing. These guys are good. So this is color. Every single thing you need to know, both color palette. So this is a trick I'm going to give you guys, and know this, have this. So when we start doing our projects, or when you start doing projects for your clients, you know how to combine colors. Okay, so when we're talking about generating color palettes, you could actually generate color palettes from images. You could as well also create your own palettes from the knowledge you know about colors. So if you don't have any idea at all, you could actually click on color palette edit. So let's just open these things one by one. So you could, so on your own, what I'll just tell you guys to do, just go through them. So just like this, you could actually see this image, how a color palette was formed from this image, just by this image alone. So it's actually an AI on the site that does that. So with this picture, you see these 4 color palettes, and you can actually copy them, and you can use this color palette to create a design. So it said the easiest place, so you can upload an image, whichever image you upload, it brings out a color palette. And Canva also offers some color palettes for you to explore. You could also create your own custom palette, or you can upload your own image. So that's it for color palette generator. You can as well explore other things you see here, but I want you guys to do this. Just explore these 4 sections first, then your free time you can do the other ones. So palette ideas. Like I said, if you do not know how to combine colors, that's why Canva is here to help you. So you could actually try out some color palette ideas Canva is offering. You could also type a color and see the colors that can be combined with it. So let me just give, I like purple and blue. So let me type purple. Let me type purple. Okay, so because I typed the word purple, you see different palettes of purple, different color palettes, and these are good combinations because like I said, it's an AI that is doing this. I could type which color should I type? Somebody should tell me. I want you guys to tell me which color should I type.
Red.
Red. Everybody say red. Okay. Louis, which color should I type? Divine, which color should I type? I'm going to type red. I want to also check this.
Blue.
Okay, Louis, he said blue. Divine, how about you? Okay, Divine, can you use the chat window? Because I'm not hearing you very well. You can type Divine.
Green.
Okay, green. Okay, so I'll try red. I'm going to use red, blue, and green so you guys could see. So let's type red first because Christopher said red. So these are different things. So let's just type red. So you'll see the different color palettes for red. You see? Different color palettes. Remember we spoke about the monochromatic scale. So some color palettes are actually monochromatic. Some are complementary. Some are triadic. And all that. And there's a lot of combinations. There's a lot of combinations of red here. Different shades. So depending on whatever it is you want. Okay, let's go with the next one. Louis said blue. Okay, so this is blue. Wow, very beautiful palette I'm seeing here. Okay, so this is it for blue, Louis. So if you want to explore the color palette for blue, so many. Okay, I think they even have names attached to them, and there are so many. This is over 36. I'm sure it's more than 36. Okay, let's try the last one. Divine said green. Okay, so these are the palettes for green. Different palettes for you to explore. Okay, so just because of time, I won't. I think I've told you guys what to do. So aside just the color palettes, you could also check. These other ones too. The color wheel. I've already spoken some things about the color wheel. Then color meanings as well. Please check these 4 things. Very important. Color meanings. You can search any color and know more about it, what it means, both the good aspect, the bad aspect, and all those things. So that's the assignment. This link is going to be shared on the Slack and WhatsApp channel. So check all these 4 things, explore them, then come with your questions while we continue the next class. When we continue the next class on Thursday. Okay, thank you so much for your time. So any question, I'll just give 2 minutes. Okay, I think there's no time for question. I'm very sorry, guys. So just write down your questions because our social media class is starting now. Write down your questions and we'll talk about it. I'll answer them on Thursday. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, you're welcome. Bye.